The toy had been sitting on the shelf for as long as Sarah could remember. It was a peculiar figure, given to her by a strange vendor at a distant market during a family vacation years ago. The creature had mismatched parts, wings, claws, and a bizarre assortment of eyes. Sarah used to call it Patch, a name that evoked a sense of playful mystery rather than foreboding. Years later, as Sarah sifted through old boxes in her childhood home, she came across Patch. A surge of nostalgia mixed with unease washed over her as she held the toy once more. Its small, beady eyes seemed to follow her every move. It must have been her imagination. That night, Sarah took Patch with her to her apartment. She washed off the dust and set it on her desk, a reminder of simpler times. She noticed that one of its many eyes glinted strangely in the low light. Sarah slept fitfully that evening, plagued by dreams where she wandered through an empty carnival, the echo of her footsteps the only sound. In the center of the carnival stood a large tent shrouded in darkness. She felt a strange compulsion to enter, but each time she approached, she woke up with her heart racing. Gradually, reality began to bleed into her dreams. She would wake up to find Patch in a different position, as if it had moved on its own. Yet, the feeling of being watched grew stronger each night. One evening, during an inexplicable bout of insomnia, Sarah decided to investigate Patch more closely. Turning it over in her hands, she noticed something she had never seen before. Underneath its tattered clothes, there was an intricate pattern running across its surface, almost like a circuit board. Late into the night, she found herself tracing those strange lines, feeling an odd pull to understand. As the clock struck midnight, the lights flickered, and she heard a soft, rhythmic tapping. Patch's eyes began to glow faintly, casting bizarre shadows across the room. "Who's there?" Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible above the tapping. There was no response, just the patter of tiny clawed feet. The atmosphere grew dense, and the temperature dropped. A foul smell, like rotting fruit, permeated the air. Sarah's I-squared beta negation beta's fear gave way to a paralyzing dread when she realized Patch's wings were fluttering. She attempted to drop it, but her hands seemed glued to the toy. Suddenly, a voice echoed inside her mind, "You summoned me." Then came darkness, accompanied by the sensation of falling. When Sarah woke, she was no longer in her room but in a vast, dimly lit cavern lined with shelves filled with old, discarded items. At the heart of this forgotten realm stood Patch, now a towering, grotesque figure. Its once harmless appearance had twisted into something sinister. "You must remember," the voice commanded. "Only then can you leave." Sarah's thoughts raced. She remembered the vendor, the market, and Patch. She recalled a conversation, snippets of a strange tale about a guardian, a protector of cast-off memories. How could she break free? Drawing on her recollections, Sarah started naming the forsaken items she saw around her. With each name, a piece of her past clicked into place, the cavern shimmering slightly. After what felt like hours, she had recalled every item, every memory tied to Patch. The ground beneath her feet shifted. The towering figure loomed closer, its many eyes now showing something that resembled gratitude. "You have honored the forgotten." In an instant, Sarah was back in her apartment, the morning sun streaming through the window. Patch sat lifeless on her desk, its eyes now dull and the scent of rot gone. She breathed a sigh of relief, understanding that the strange experience had ended. Patch would remain a memory, a relic of a moment when the past reached out and touched her future,